chatty people in the back. You'll please pass the cart buckets and turn off your noisemakers. Our song and pledge is Harry Petrie. Mr. Petrie.
No flag, Harry.
Good afternoon. I figured after that nice meal we had, we might need a little exercise to work this off. So if you don't mind, and if you're able, please stand as we sing our own rotary version of My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with our rotary version of My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean, the words that begin with a B, every time there's a B, you either sit down or stand up. Are we all ready? My Bonnie lies over the ocean. My Bonnie lies over the sea. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. Oh, bring back my Bonnie to me. Bring back. Bring back, oh bring back my Bonnie to me, to me. Bring back, bring back. Oh, bring back my Bonnie to me. Now, if you would, please turn and find the Bonnie around you and give them a mighty rotary welcome.
Hey, Dee, how you doing? How you get along?
Now, if you would, please envision that flag in your heart and join me as we recite the allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Harry. Jim Westmoreland has our invocation.
Let's bow together. Dear God, as we've enjoyed this meal, don't let us forget that there are millions who do not have this food. When we enjoy the shelter from the rain, let us remember that there are millions who do not have protection from the rain. But God, we thank you for Rotary. We thank you for the opportunity to serve you. We thank you what some of our leaders have led us in helping to provide water and resources to other parts of the world. Thank you for our medical profession, as we will hear today. We've been fortunate to live in a country where medicine improves all the time. Even with all the problems, we still have the best care in the world. Thank you, God, for Vann as he comes before us, for all the others gathered here. Please hear our prayer in this day. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Helping Hand, Miss Kathy Young.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Wow, this is way better than our audio over at the convention center. Didn't mean to scare everybody. Thank God we've got doctors in case of heart attack here. Okay, we're going to start with visiting Rotarians today. Emily Craig is here, I think. Nice to have you here, Emily. And we've got Jason Ramey in the center. One of my favorites, Houston Matthews. Glad to have you here. And is it Macon Dugan? Donegan. Hi, nice to have you. Did I miss any visiting Rotarians? Okay, how about guest of Rotarians? I know we have a lot. Okay.
Kathy, I'm pleased and proud to have as my guest one of my colleagues, visiting Superior Court Judge, Special Superior Court Judge Beecher Gray from Durham, North Carolina. He's on the court this week. We're honored to have him.
I have a table full, and guess what, it's a CBF. I'll start off with my daughter, Vivian Beasley Rudd, who works with Paramount Cancer Center, and then our son, excuse me for saying my BF. I made that mistake one time. Our son, Vann Beasley, and he is with New York Life. And his lovely wife, Catherine Beasley, and she is with pediatric hands-on therapy. I can't ever get that all out straight. That's Catherine Myers Beasley. BF was an only child, as many of you would know, a little spoiled, but he has two cousins that he considered his sisters, and so we are delighted to have them today too. Catherine McCauley Kalish, and she is a former attorney and judge from Macon, Georgia, and Marion Beasley Harris, and she's a lifelong educator from Charlotte with her husband, Claude Harris. He's retired from PDA Insurance Appraisers, and we're delighted to have them here with us today.
Nice to have you.
I made one mistake.
My guests today are Mike and Leslie Wallace, who are friends of our speaker. Don't get nervous, man.
Introduce Libby McCraw. She's a colleague of mine here at Paramount Health and the Vice President of Human Research.
I'll just take the honor to introduce our whole table. This is my wife, Annabelle, Vann's sister, my mother-in-law, Annabelle, Vann's mother. Of course, Houston's visiting Rotarian. This is Alice Matthews, Vann's wife. We're delighted to have all those fine folks here.
I've got Bill Seabrook standing in the back.
I have three with me. First of all, my wife Elizabeth, and secondly, Carol Elliott, Chuck Elliott, who are our neighbors and also neighbors of VS. Chuck is a former member of this club.
I have as my guest, my much better half, Sabrina. She's the manager of the cardiac cath lab here at the hospital.
Go ahead, Fred.
I have my bride Vicky with me today. Everybody can
And while Fred's standing, we should probably all wish you happy birthday today, right, Fred?
No, you don't have to.
Maybe?
I have with me as my guest, former member of this club, my father, Greg Chick.
I have as my guest Kimberly Kuzinaga with the YMCA of USA.
I have as my guest today my lovely wife of 25 years. We just got back from Jamaica, folks.
Okay, does that take care of all of our guests? It's nice to have such a big group.
One more.
Two.
Tammy Pearson, Martin's wife. Tammy.
Okay, we've got lots of Rotarians in the news. Is Mike Linker here? Let's see, yep, right here in the newspaper. You're going to need to bring some money up. This was a nice, the Partnership for Children. That's a good one. And we've got Ernest Sumner in the news for Girls on the Run. And I believe Trip Horde is mentioned in there as well. And Tony Sigmund. Tony, you know you need to just always sit close to the front. You get hit up every week. There's no reason to sit on the back row. I thought this was an interesting headline. Gaston County implements priority-based budgeting. Gotta pay up. Earl. Budgeting was always done on a priority basis. We've got John Bridgman and Joe Carpenter, who should also always be sitting on the front row. I'll take it.
Good do with all that money.
John's not here.
Get him later.
Okay. Trey Pruitt. Is Trey here? He's not? We'll be hitting him up again. There's going to be lots with the Dancing with the Stars. And Tim Grooms is not here, is he? His daughter's also a part of that. Dallas is doing it? No, she changed her mind. Okay. And then I think our last Rotarian in the news is Jake. And he was so proud that we had a photograph of him with his trophy. This is for Ashley High School class in 1959, having their 55th reunion. I didn't realize it was a trophy that he was holding. And then he showed me a better picture of it.
Well, old guys need different kinds of trophies. I got some of my gals here in cardiac rehab to gather some urinals for our... we washed them out real good and gave them to guys. Well, they can make it to the beach now without having to stop.
I apologize to all of our guests today. It is the old man's Rotary. In health news, let's see, Ring has had some good news. Her mother-in-law has had a successful surgery this morning, one more to go. So we'll be keeping her in our thoughts and prayers for a healthy recovery. Les McLean's sister, Rose Whitesides, passed away. The funeral is going to be on Sunday, as well as the visitation on Sunday. Is there any additional health news I may have missed that we may need to share? Yes, ma'am.
Please keep my partner in crime, Chris Laser's father, had an operation yesterday. It's pretty serious.
Chris Leeser's father, okay. Any other health news we may have missed? Okay, I think we've got time for a few happy dollars. It looks like a pretty happy group.
My name's, again, Macon Dunnigan, and we're just going to have the very first meeting for the August 3rd through the 8th Mount Kilimanjaro climb. Is going to be November the 18th at 6 o'clock at Jesse Brown's Outdoors. We also have, if you know any Rotaracts, we're also, 7680 is going to be leading the International Rotaract Mount Kilimanjaro climb here in Polio now, and that'll be the last week of June. So 2015. So if you want some more information about the Kilimanjaro climb, it'll be at Jesse Brown's Outdoors at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, November 18th.
I think I missed the introduction going to my target arrival. I have a guest today. This is Dr. Kenny Carey. He's an oral surgeon at Womack Medical Center down at Bragg. He's up visiting today.
It's nice to have you here. Any other happy dollars before we get started on our program? It's going to be an awesome program. I'm really excited about this one.
All right, we have a couple of announcements. You got a reminder letter that Operation Christmas is ready to receive your checks. I saw a lot of them coming in today, so Cheryl Rhodes is in the back ready to receive more of them if you did not do that already. The Christmas social is December the 4th, and Eleanor is going to be taking sign-ups. If you want to let her know that you're coming, she's up here at the front table. Tony Martyr, would you have a couple of words about our Distinguished Rotarian Awards?
Thank you, Green. If you look on your table, we're moving up. Been asked by the district to move up our Distinguished Rotarian nominations and election. Our current Distinguished Rotarian for our club is Cheryl Rose. She will continue to serve as our Distinguished Rotarian until the next district conference. but we have to have this done before Christmas. So we will present nominations for the next 3 Rotary Club meetings that we have. I've put several of these on every table. Feel free to go ahead and make some nominations. You can leave them in the cart buckets if you like. I'll come around and get these right after the program today. There has been one change. The awards committee has decided our club is large enough that we do not need to select repeat winners. So sitting presidents and any previous winners don't need to be nominated. I hope that's clear to everyone. So just fill in a name of somebody you think needs to be recognized by our club at the district conference, and we will have our election in a couple of weeks after we go through several nominations.
Thank you. And now it comes to a great point in the program, and I would ask B.F. Beasley to join me up front. Benjamin Forrest Beasley, known to us all as BF, has been involved in making our community a better place for many years and in many, many, many ways. Let me mention just a few of them. He was born in Raleigh, North Carolina, graduated from NC State with a BS degree in textile engineering. He is married to Eleanor Cherry Beasley, and apparently Eleanor had their children all by herself. Vivian and Bill. They moved from Connecticut to Gastonia in 1979 after he accepted an invitation from the late Duke Kimbrell to join the Parkdale Mills management team. Outside of work, church, and civic affiliations, these are his priorities. He has served multiple YMCAs. He has been board chairman for the Central Y, board chairman for the Metropolitan Y, board member of the year 5 times. In 2010, he was awarded the J.D. Hicks Lifetime Achievement Award for 28 years of dedicated service. For the United Way, he has served on the campaign cabinet. He was financial campaign chairman with his wife and son, and in 2007 raised $2.3 million. He was chairman of the board in 2009. With his wife and son, was awarded the Duke Energy Citizens of the Year Award in 2008. With All Saints Episcopal Church, he has been a Sunday school teacher, member of the choir, and served 3 terms on the vestry board, and has been senior warden of the vestry for 2 terms. When he saw the light and moved to First Presbyterian Church, he has served as a Sunday school teacher, deacon, and elder on the missions board, and as board chairman and the membership development committee. In the Rotary Club of Gastonia, he is our illustrious program chair along with Dick Ford, and has served on the board of directors for 2 years. In his spare time, which I cannot imagine that he has any, he enjoys tennis, spin bikes at the YMCA, hiking, and Bible study. As you know, Paul Harris founded Rotary in Chicago in 1905. The award that was named for him in 1957 is one of Rotary's highest recognitions, and recognizes donations of $1,000 or more to the Rotary Foundation. Paul Harris said a lot of quotable things, and one of the best is this: whatever Rotary may mean to us, to the world it will be known by the results it achieves. The contribution which our giving group has made to the foundation, in your name, BF, makes you part of results like these: promoting peace, preventing and eradicating disease, boosting economic development, and providing clean drinking water and sanitation for millions of people. The ongoing contributions are crucial to sustain the thousands of projects that Rotary International supports worldwide. In receiving this award, you are truly involved in making the entire world a better place. It is my honor and great privilege to present you with these emblems of the Paul Harris Fellow, your certificate, your lapel pin, and your fancy medallion. Please join me in recognizing our newest Paul Harris.
I will always treasure this very special gift, and every time that I see it, I will be reminded of the Rotary motto, service above self. I want to take a few minutes just to say there have been many people that have come my way in my life's journey that have come in and made a very positive impact, starting with my parents in Raleigh, North Carolina, my Sunday school teachers there at Tabernacle Baptist Church, then on to so many teachers, Sunday school teachers, teachers in grade schools, high schools, and of course then on, of course, to Gastonia, where I want to also mention my spiritual advisors, Houston Matthews, thank you, and Dr. John Fry, who I think is not here today, but I will certainly thank him again when I see him Sunday. And one last mention, 6 years ago, my phone rang, ring, ring, and I answered the phone, I said, hello, and there was just a brief pause, and then here's what I heard. Beasley, why aren't you a Rotarian? You got any ideas who that might be? It was Bill Seabrook. I had been Seabrooked. And so, and thank you, Bill, for asking me to become part of this wonderful organization. And I'm going to close by reminding us of what Tiny Tim said. God bless us, everyone.
I'd like to call on Will Current to introduce our program.
Congratulations, BF, and thank you, President Green. Our speaker today doesn't need a whole lot of introduction. He is a friend to many of us, certainly a friend to this community, but he is such an humble guy that many of you don't know his whole story, or if you've heard some of it before, this will be a great chance to hear some details once again, because it is a fantastic story. Born in Gastonia in 1962 to James Houston Matthews Jr. and Annabelle Ziegler Matthews, he is the youngest of 4 children and claims that they saved the best for last. Graduated from Gastonia in 1980 and attended Lees McRae and Florida Southern College. He married his high school sweetheart, Alice Stowe, of Belmont. They had 2 daughters, Sloan and Mary Houston. His services included the boards of the Heart Society, the Boys and Girls Club, and he presently serves on the board of the David Belt Cannon Foundation. He's also served as both a deacon and an elder at First Presbyterian Church. And he recently retired from Belk Incorporated after 29 years. He said this is one of his greatest feats, maybe next to a transplant, keeping a wife happy all these years, and the birth of his children. But please give a big welcome for Vann Matthews.
Thank you. Gotta get used to this microphone. I will warn you that halfway through there will be a commercial. Kay Hagan and Tom Tillis. Some people just can't get rid of. So, during my retirement, I really enjoyed seeing which one was the worst. I guess my story started really back when I was in high school. I was a real active kid. I played sports. My favorite subject at school were lunch and sports, and a little bit of history. I did like history. You know, you can keep algebra and math, but anyway, really liked sports a lot. People tell me I was pretty fast, and there's a reason for that. The Garland's dog, Smitty. Smitty was one of the smaller dogs in the neighborhood, but he would take on a pit bull. So Mac Whitesides was a little slower than me, so he got the ankle chewing more than I did. And also Katrina, the German Shepherd that blocked us from the 7-Eleven. He was pretty fast. She was fast too. But during the time I was in high school, about my junior, senior year, I was getting fatigued. Macon can probably attest to some of that. We played football together at Gaston Day, and I just wasn't up to par, didn't know why, which was confusing and hard for me because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't do what everybody else could do and was able to before. So I went off to school at Lees McRae College in Banner Elk. And during that time, I started noticing shortness of breath. I also noticed that I would walk up the steps to my dorm room and would get very fatigued and tired, and thought this just isn't normal. Actually had an occasion or two where I actually passed out. So, being 18, 19 years old, that's not normal. So what I did was I talked to my parents about it at that time, and they said, well, at the end of the year, we need to look at this and see what's going on. So my doctor here, Dr. Bob Behringer here in Gastonia, I went to see him, and he took a listen to me, and things just didn't sound right with my heart. Also went to see Dr. Dickey here, and they said, we need to do some more testing. So I ended up going up to Chapel Hill, and they did some tests on me, and thought possibly I had a hole in my heart or something. But then discovered upon that I didn't have that. I had a rare heart and lung condition called primary pulmonary hypertension, of which there was really no known cure at that time. So, we went home, and I went back to work, and went to school for a while, and then went to work because it was getting so bad that I just couldn't attend school anymore. And one day my mom called me at home and said, you need to come on home, I need to talk to you about something. And I knew it was probably something to do with my health. She said that Dr. Behringer said the only real cure for Vann would be a heart-lung transplant. And fortunately, I had my stepfather, David Royster. His daughter, Kathy, was born with some congenital heart problems, and she had gone up to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. And through that connection, I got up there, and there were two doctors at that time that were in California at Stanford, and they trained under a doctor named Norman Shumway, and he was a heart transplant specialist. These two guys under him, who I call the two geniuses, Dr. Bruce Rice and Dr. William Bumgardner, were doing a new developing surgery called a heart-lung transplant. And they considered me for that, and I had to go back and forth a couple of times with my mom over there, who went through 99.9% of this with me during that time. We talked about different things that could possibly do to keep me going until those doctors got there. There was a doctor named Dr. Warren Summer who was trying some experimental things with me. Kind of felt like the guinea pig up there, and through medication and stuff. But it really didn't seem to help a whole lot. And then when Dr. Rice and Bumgardner got up there, we went back, and I had to pass a battery of tests, psychological, make sure I wasn't crazy, that kind of thing, which, that's still debatable. But anyhow, I passed the test, and I was other than my heart and lungs, everything else was at that point in time in pretty good shape. So I passed, and we went to live up there because at that time, to receive the heart and lungs, you had to be near the medical center because they had to move fast when they found the donor. And in the case of heart and lungs, the donor body had to have the whole body there, and then I had to get there for them to do the harvesting of the heart and lungs. So we had a lot of long days in Towson, Maryland, which is just outside of Baltimore. We would go back and forth. I'd have periods when I went a little bit down and I'd have to stay in the hospital a day or two. And then they get me tuned up again, and I'd go back to the apartment. I was on oxygen pretty much 24/7 at that time. I was on a leash, so I was kind of tethered to that in the apartment. But we did the best we could with that. I learned a lot in being in the hospital. Started out feeling sorry for myself and learned real quick that wasn't the way to go. I had some roommates that taught me a lot. You'd have to share a semi-private room. I had some characters too. I remember one guy, he was a small, what they call small people, he was a small fella. He was my roommate. He was one of the coolest guys I think I've ever met. But small people have heart trouble and stuff like that. He was having some problems, and so every day at 4 o'clock we'd watch Beretta, and that was his favorite show. He'd prop up on this bed, and he had these little, I call them Buster Brown shoes, about that big. He'd be watching Beretta, and he was just a cool guy. And he had a deep voice like this. And one day I was sitting there watching Beretta, and I didn't see what he was doing, and all of a sudden, you had the tray next there, and he puts his little hand up there and goes, "Here, have some M&Ms." And he was always thinking of other people. And, you meet people like that, and it just, you learn a lot about life. And my brother Houston came up, and he was going to give us communion. And so we're sitting there, and he asked the guy, my roommate, he said, "You want to take the communion too?" He said, "Oh yeah, sure." So Houston came to me, and he gave me the wine and did the Episcopal thing, So I'm not used to doing it the way the Episcopalians do it. They, kind of share the cup and everything. Being a Presbyterian, we just take that little Welch's grape juice thing and zap it down. So I started drinking down. I said, "Wait a minute, I think he's got to drink out of this too." So I left him about that much. So. It's real wine, yeah. And so he got his share and I got mine. But just, a lot of interesting things happened. I think the thing that humbled me the most in being in that hospital was that I did have a roommate, and he had Down syndrome. I think, Mom, you might remember that. I was feeling bad about myself and feeling sorry for myself. And he walked over to me, and he patted me on the head, and he said, "Don't worry, you'll be all right." And I was like, wow, here I am feeling sorry for myself. And this guy's, comes over and tells me that. I mean, I was like, I needed that, and I'll never forget that. Anyway, so the doctors would come in and out. They told me, they estimated I had about 6 months at that time. I lasted 18 before I actually got the transplant. So it was getting a little rough there at the end. I had a couple episodes where we actually had to call the doctor from the apartment. He would tell us what to do. I had chest pains one time, and I was taking this thing called nifedipine. It's a beta blocker, which you medical guys know what that is. But I had to bite down on that just to take the chest pain away. I mean, it was that bad. So I was really getting worried at that point. We had a close call one time where they called me, they brought me in, we're ready to go, and then right before they got me prepped to go in, the organs went bad. So that was really tough. I mean, that was a tough day for us. We didn't give up, but we hung in there, and then the second time they called, it was actually my mom's birthday, December 16th. And I thought they were calling to wish her a happy birthday, and she said, that's the hospital. She said, Dr. Acuff, who's one of the cardiologists there and lived close by, is coming by to pick you up. It was about 11 o'clock at night, pick us up. And we think this is good. We think it's a go. So here I am thinking, God, don't let it, not work again. So yeah, we were there most of the night, and then they came in, and Dr. Trail, one of the other cardiologists, really the one I saw more than anybody, came in. He's a British guy. He kind of talks funny, and he goes, "Okay, Vann, it's a go." I was like, "Okay." I will say, before we went in, I went back, got my clothes on, and I said a prayer. And at that point, I told God, "I'm ready to accept whatever you want to happen. If it's time for me to go and come to you, I'm ready. And if I get through this and live, it's your decision." And I just put it in God's hands. And so that morning, they got me prepped. Last thing I remember is doing the old count back from 100. I think I might have gotten to 98. But, and then they did the surgery. And right after the surgery, they closed me up, and then I started bleeding again. Of course, I didn't know any of this because I'm sure I was out cold, but they had to rush me back in, open me back up, and re-stitch some of the leaks. And Mom, I guess that was a nervous time for you, obviously. They woke me up, a day or two later, and there I was, looking up at my Dr. Rice, Dr. Bumgardner, who did the surgery, and my stepfather and my mom were at the end of the bed, and I was, glad to be here. I couldn't really talk because I had a tube in my throat, so we had to kind of write notes. But I was so thankful that everything worked out. Then a day or two later, after they took the chest tubes out and everything, they brought an exercise bike in, and I said, "What's that for?" And they said, "You're going to ride this." And I was a little nervous about that, but I did get on it, and I rode. I don't know how long it was, but I mean, I was just so amazed that I could do that. And then from there on, it just, kept trying to do more and more each and every day. Just slowly got better. I did have to go back for some surgery about 3 months later. When they did the surgery, one of the digestive nerves, I think it's called the vagus nerve, right, doctors out there? It involved my digestion. So I was not digesting food properly due to that. So I had a stomach surgery, and that hurt worse than the heart-lung transplant. I'll tell you, when they open up your gut, that ain't fun. But that worked out, and we went home about April or May in 1985, and I went back to work at Belk in October of '85, so that's kind of the way that went. I had a lot of support. Prayer played a big part in me being here. Family support, people coming. My Annabelle and Nora and my sisters came up. My brother came up.
And Alice.
Oh, I'm not going to. She didn't do anything. Alice came up more than once. I was getting to her. So started working at Belk's, and married my 7th grade childhood sweetheart, Alice, in July of 1986. And we have 2 beautiful daughters, Sloan and Mary Houston, who are out in the working world and off the payroll. And I'm proud of them. I inherited a son. I finally got a son, my son-in-law Wesley. He was he passed the test. He was the best one that she brought home, so I figured, well, he'll take it. So he's a Georgia cracker from Macon, from your part of the world. Macon's a cool place. I like Macon. So, you know, I love my family. They're great. You know, I retired from Belks in August, and there was I don't know if Tom Watson's here. Is he in this club? Okay. Tom Watson had said that, you know, he said, I'm of the mind if you retire, a rocking chair will kill a man. And I was going to tell Tom if he was here, Tom, you just don't know how to rock, brother. So anyway, but Tom is a friend, and he's been a great customer, so he'll take it in good humor. So you can tell him I said that. So there's a lot of other things that went on during that period of time, but that's my basic story. And I know y'all may have some questions, or you may not. Does anybody have any questions?
We've got a whole handful, Van. Would you like to tell us how many transplants have been done before or after you? Are they still doing them? How many survivors, if there's an average lifetime? And also, how do you feel about Obamacare?
That's a good question. I'm glad you asked that one. That's a good question. And me being a Republican, you're going to be surprised to hear my response. But sorry, I get political. And Kay's not coming. So anyway, before there was a guy that was waiting with me. And he went before me. He had his transplant done. He was about my age. His name was Michael, and he was from Idaho. And he was a cowboy. He was a real nice guy. Nice family. We got to meet them. He went in a couple of months before me. He had the transplant, but the heart and lungs, unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, and he did pass away. That was tough because, you know, I knew either he was going to be on deck or I was going to be on deck because we were the only two waiting for that particular surgery at that time. So we were supporting each other, obviously, and that was hard. But before that, there was a lady out in Arizona. She was the first. And I believe Dr. Shumway may have had a hand in that one too. He kind of pioneered it, and then Dr. Wrightson and Bumgarner really perfected that procedure. Now, living today, I'm not real sure how many there are. I think I was told about 5 years ago when I was at Johns Hopkins, there was a guy out west that had me by about close to a year that was still around. This is 30 years for me, and was just ahead of me. So I hadn't asked if he's around. I hope he is. Because that bodes real well for me. But I've been told I'm probably one of the longest living right now. So, and that's the hand of God right there. And my wife keeping me out of trouble.
But you need to tell him too that Dr. Bruce Wright did the first one in the world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he did, and he trained under Shumway. But Wrights was the first one to do it, and then he partnered up with Bumgarner, and then they came to Baltimore together. And Bumgarner's still there, and Wrights is retired and playing golf back out in California, so which is good for him. As far as the insurance, when I retired, I did go on Obamacare because that was the only way I could be insured from retiring, because I retired too early from Belk to receive Belk benefits. So I am on Obamacare, and it's Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it's working. So that's what I had to do. You know, that's kind of how that worked out.
And what medicines are you still required to take? I mean, is it still reject? I mean, there's no rejection.
They used to test me for rejection. In fact, the first, Alice, I had rejection after we were married about a year, I think. And I went up there and they said, you've got some hot spots, was what they call them. And they treated me with steroids and put me on a high dose of steroids. And I went back a month or two later and it was all clear. And that's the only real rejection I've had. I take something called cyclosporine, and that's the big anti-rejection medicine. And I take that with some other medications. I have to take that twice a day for the rest of my life, but it's like brushing my teeth now. I just do it. So.
Who was the donor, and have you ever met the family?
No, we haven't. They chose to be anonymous. I do know that my particular donor was in prison, and he was lifting weights and had a brain aneurysm. And his family, thank God for them, they approached his family and they said they would do this. And so maybe one day in the up yonder we'll meet. I wonder if he'll ask for it back.
Is that why you want to do crime every once in a while?
I'll talk to you later. I haven't done any crimes lately. Yes, sir.
Man, tell them about your fingernails. Remember when you climbed the stairs at Lisa McRae and your fingernails would turn purple? Remember that?
Yeah.
You were climbing the stairs and then you fainted that one.
Yeah. Well, I would have a couple of times when you might remember my lips would turn blue. When they
turn blue and your fingernails would turn.
It was really weird. Yeah, I was like, this is not right. And y'all were like, no, that's not right. And I remember, I don't know if you were playing football outside, and I passed out. And I wanted to play so bad, I was like, I'm not going to be the wimp standing on the sidelines, even though I didn't. And all I remember was everybody waking me up. So, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember when your sisters went out and got these beautiful fall leaves and fixed you a beautiful arrangement when they came up?
Yeah, I sure did.
And some of it was poison.
Yeah. I do have two of the sweetest sisters you could ever ask of, but yeah, I'm on one with her thinking. I guess they itched all the way back to gas too.
Vann?
Yes.
How do you feel? You feel good? Can do most anything you want?
Yeah, I can. You know, I'm not going to cut a flip out here for you, but yeah, I can do. I can do anything I want to do.
That's wonderful. I hope you live to be 100 and get shot by a jealous husband. That's my ambition too.
You need to go on Jimmy Kimmel, man. You're good. You're wasting your career, man. That's good. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Did your personality change after the surgery?
No. Well, I will say, I'm just wondering if I got a black man's heart, because they say I can dance really good. Other than that, I'm pretty much the same. Yeah. You know, I always think about, what if I take on like weird characteristics? You think stuff, you know what I mean?
Yeah, Vann, how long did it take before you could exercise and run again and feel like you did before your heart started going bad?
You know, I was came home in April. I had been doing an exercise bike after I got home just about every day, because I didn't have anything else to do except get better. I swam a lot. I would say really good exercise in probably May. And now I still exercise just about every day. I do something, I don't know if y'all are familiar with NordiTrack. I've got an old wooden machine I love. I mean, it's never going to fall apart. It's made out of metal and wood, you can't break it. But doesn't have any plastic parts. I get on there and go for about 30 minutes. And that's really all I do.
Vann, I understand you were waiting up there at Johns Hopkins about 18 months, and your mother was there constantly. She's the most dedicated mother I ever heard of. I think we ought to give her a big round of applause.
I agree.
He was more fun. I mean, he kept his sense of humor the whole time.
Well, it's, I couldn't have made it. My mom's just a great mom. I mean, you don't get to pick your mom. She kind of created you. So, but the Lord gave me the best. I mean, she made me eat when I didn't want to eat. She listened to me fuss, cuss. She cussed with me. We sometimes had to cuss at doctors, but we know they were doing all that they could.
They did a lot of praying, too.
Ton of praying. And I know that's the main reason I'm here is because of my faith in God, and everybody in this room I know that knew about my situation and prayed for me. You don't do this alone, you do it with the people that are around you. And as I had a great support system, so and I appreciate all that too. So thanks, Mr. Pearson. Have I missed anybody? Yes.
For years, you used to go back to Johns Hopkins for your checkup every year. Do you still do that?
I do, but it's been a long time. I haven't been back in about 8 years, according to my administrative assistant. Yeah, I go to the doctor here just like anybody else, though. But and of course, you know, I don't want to leave out my beautiful wife Al. She's also the reason why I'm still here. She doesn't let me get too out of hand, and she's taking good care of me, and you know I appreciate that. All right, well, thank y'all so much. I enjoyed being here. The food was good too. Thank you.
Great program, Vann. We are really glad you're still here with us, and I know it was a group effort. Thanks to everybody who gave him love and support. Thanks to Caramont for hosting our program today. We really appreciate it. Before you leave, you come up and congratulate B.F. Beasley on his Paul Harris Fellow Award. Thank you to all our visitors and guests. Please join us at any time. We'll adjourn with the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?